Well, Ben,
What?
I'm gonna be really impressed if we can get 45 minutes out of this.
I'm.
So,
Okay.
hello.
Well,
Um,
Cedric, I'd like to say that this is entirely your fault.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, you didn't
Yeah,
know. You
I read
didn't
Flame of
know.
Recca, and I was like, oh my god, this was really good. So here's
Yeah.
another story by the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset that it turned out to be the most average fucking thing I've ever read in my life, but here we are.
And yeah, and we are in accordance on this. This like Mare is it's so average. It's like
It's so
because
average it hurts.
most
Oh my
series
god, like it
have
hurts to read.
something that like stands out. And it's like, because the thing is,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not bad. Nothing,
There's
nothing
nothing
about it is
aggressively bad about it, I would say.
no. You can't look at like a plot point and be just like, oh, that's poorly executed, or like that's not like done in a way that anyone with sanity would
Yeah,
do, because it is done in a way that someone with sanity would do, but
but
just
there's nothing special about it.
lacking.
it's
It's lacking
it's
like any
and
form of creativity,
which is so much
or
more
like
unfortunate because we are in fantasy, the most creative fucking
yeah,
genre you could imagine, where you are only limited by
yeah.
your own creativity. I think Flame of Recca was more creative, and that was an urban fantasy.
I don't even. Yeah, like Okay,
Okay.
so
Hello. Welcome back.
hi.
Welcome back to the Nonplussed Bookcast, our book club for comic books and manga. This is episode 2, where at the end of episode 1, after gushing about Stone Ocean for like 68 minutes, I was like,
You said
I was like,
the exact
I
words,
said, we're gonna read Mare.
and I was like, "Yeah,
And
that sounds interesting."
the first volume cover had so much promise in it. Uh,
Yeah, it
so,
it had a boy with a
your
hammer and a
boy with a
ball,
toy.
or a kendama. What the fuck is up with the Japanese and the kendamas? I fucking play Tales of Symphonia. There's a
Yeah, they had a whole
kendama.
skit about kendamas, where
That
they
was
threw
actually really
Rain's
funny.
kendama and smacked her upside the head with it, and it was really funny.
Yeah. It was like three different skits, and everyone in the fucking party is like, "Hey, what is this genus? How the fuck does
Yeah.
this work?" And Lloyd's like, "I bet I could do it," and he just wings it at her brain,
Did you see that one bonus
just
skit?
kills her
Not bonus
instantly.
skit, but there's like this not side quest, but sort of like a little side story in the game where Kratos. It's like in the first third where Kratos is sparring with Lloyd, and Kratos is like, Lloyd, why
Yeah,
do you use two swords? He's like, one sword is 100 power, so two swords would be 200 power, right?
he's such a precious little
Yeah,
idiot.
that's why we
Like,
love him. But
that's our boy
yeah,
Lloyd.
let's talk.
What a massive
Let's
hypocrite.
talk about
As we
Nair.
Yeah, as I'm gonna
Uh,
say, as we talk about a better game to really avoid talking
okay.
about Nair.
Just gonna wish I
Um,
could play Tales of Symphonia again. I would gladly. Anyway,
and
so
and it's funny how we were able to get like an hour and 30 minutes of discussions on Stone Ocean, and I still feel like we missed
there was
stuff.
stuff I didn't even touch on that we can't even talk about because we
Yeah,
want Andrew to listen to this episode. But like, I guess
true. Yeah, you're right. Oh
to
yeah,
put it
that's
into a
right.
better like spoiler-free version, like the flashbacks, I feel like we barely touched on.
Oh,
Yeah,
we forgot. But that's the point. Is
yeah.
like, yeah,
It's just sort of our
with Nair.
impressions and our thoughts that we're trying to give some form of structure to with this episode in particular because if there
Mhm.
was any sort of evidence from our discussion last night or like 20-minute time we were going fucking apeshit, we need some
Oh, you think it was
structure.
20 minutes? It was
It
40
was
minutes.
god damn.
We
Okay.
were just screaming about it for 40
Yeah.
minutes, and literally at every single 5 minutes there would just be an interval where one of us would say like, we've got to save this,
Yes.
we
Yes.
have to save the angle.
Yeah. Okay,
But
so
we can't. It's
what
like,
I thought would be best
mhm,
would be to go through the events canonically. When a new character comes up, we can discuss them or something, a new major
okay.
character, because I'm not going to care about the fucking Jackson
I
mother or
I am a
whatever.
very
But
fast reader, so I finished this a while
I
ago.
finished it last
So I'm
night.
gonna leave it up to you to structure this
Yes,
because I forget.
yes, Ben, you read very,
Yeah.
very quickly. At minimum, I tried to do 3 chapters a
Yes.
day. But when last
hmm
week I
I
learned like, okay, Ben, you finished this a little bit ago. I'm like 2/3 of the way through. I just read 1 volume a day, which is very, very actually not bad because Mare is a very quick read. There's not much dialogue in it.
No, that's one of the reasons why I was able to burn through it so quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of like Black Clover.
If I do absolutely nothing else aside from like, I don't know, go and get food or like occasionally work or play a game, I can burn through about 60 to 100 chapters in a day.
I'm very impressed. I wish I had that ability. I tend to try and cherish the content a little more, but in the case of Mare, that kind of worked against me, didn't it?
Oh, you're saying that I'm not cherishing the content of Mare?
No, I'm saying, you're not cherishing this fucking golden goose. This
golden goose.
Okay, I think what I was saying more was like, I for some reason, I'm unreasonably sentimental about stories I consume, even if not all of them are A+, like what we're about to discuss. So,
I super understand that. It's like
because I guess it's like the way Super Eye Patch Wolf described it at the beginning of his One Piece video, where it's like these stories just become like a calming background noise, and when your daily life is just chaos.
that is One Piece.
Yeah,
that is how I would describe it. Until shit starts going, and then suddenly it's less calming.
And then you're like, why can't the next chapter come out now? We were just talking about that last night with Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, why can't the next chapter just come out right fucking now?
Oh my god. Fuck. It's tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow.
Yes. But until then...
Oh my god, okay. Like, we're doing this thing. Red Letter Media, you know how they do Best of the Worst?
Yes.
And where they, like, watch bad movies? And then review them?
Yes.
You know that? Like... They did an episode on Star Wars, the Christmas special.
Did they?
Yes, and it was 2 episodes, and the first episode was them just for an hour avoiding talking about the Star Wars A Christmas special. That is what we are doing right now, unintentionally.
Well, because we're not going to be able to hold ourselves back when we just get into the Mare content. Because goddamn, I have so many thoughts racing through my mind. There's stuff I liked, there's stuff I didn't like, and there was just stuff that fucking pissed me off. Like,
hands in the air. Chapter 1. Let's just start.
Okay, knocking on heaven's door. How about that for a chapter title?
Yeah,
it makes me wish
was that the chapter title?
Yeah.
I forgot.
The first chapter was called Knocking on Heaven's Door. It made me wish I was rewatching part 4.
The entirety of the first bit is like...
Alright. Yeah, we can talk about this a little more. I told you a little bit about this last night, where I was like, it's of my opinion, since now I've read both of his major works, that I am of the opinion that Nobiyuki Anzai does not know how to start a manga. At least chapter 1, because it feels more that things start he leans too heavily in Medeus Res, and I feel that he just leaves too many pieces of the story on the floor for us to like pick up and try and sort before the story gets going. But I do feel like, because I remember I read the first 3 chapters. I remember when I read Flame of Wreck, I read the first 3 volumes in a day, strangely enough. Where he's able to... He usually, like, trips up a bit at the start, but he has relatively interesting plot conceits that make me want to keep reading. And that was the case with Mare, too. Like, I really wanted... Because when you first get to Mare, you're introduced to Ginta, and he's like a nerd. He can't lift or whatever. He sucks. He has no stamina. He can't see because he has glasses.
Oh, and he has... glasses. What a nerd. Yeah. What a fucking nerd with his glasses.
And
his dumb spiky hair.
And then one day just the Mon Imperia just appears right in front of him. The entire classroom goes black, and he's just like, you're coming through, and his childhood friend Koyuki is like, I want to go too. And it's like, it's like no.
Oh yeah, dice roll crit 1. No, only one person goes through.
Get fucked, kid. So Ginta goes through the door. He's like, I'm going to tell you everything when I get back. And she's like, all right. And then he goes. And one thing I like about the introduction to Mare Heaven is that, like, when Ginta first gets there, his reaction is your reaction. Like, you want to know everything about this place. He's running around. He's discovering new things every single second.
Not
he's
to
just
mention
a
that he
kid.
can fucking see
and
now.
He's, like, loving everything. and I
And then some
really do love
rocks
that.
talk to him.
Yeah. How about that? Like, I really
then-
do like
and
the
that-
first
and
couple of chapters for
And
that
that's the
reason, 'cause
moment
he's
where I
just
was
going
like,
crazy.
oh no,
Really?
those rocks look dumb.
Why did you not like the rocks? You couldn't smell what they were
They
cooking?
look stupid. They looked stupid, and I'm glad that nothing like them ever showed up in the rest of the series. But also, why did nothing like them ever show up in the rest of the series?
Well, that's because
What were
Mare
those
doesn't
rocks?
care about exploring the world. And we'll get to that
It's
in
fucking
a
like,
while.
oh god.
We will get to that in a while.
We're gonna have to wait about this until we get to a later arc where I could talk about that bullshit.
You mean what? You mean the arc? Okay.
Okay.
So Ginta then goes and meets-
walks around
yeah.
and is like, "I'm a badass."
Yeah, he's running around. He's loving everything. I
then
really think that's... it's adorable, honestly. It's like, you see this
Sure,
kid who's never
yeah.
been able to... Like, his mom doesn't believe the world he's dreamed up multiple times. And then it just
Yeah, well,
happens
it's
that
because
it's real.
it's also her world. I think didn't she write a book about it or
She
something?
wrote... That's never brought up again. I didn't realize that until just now.
Okay.
What the
Fuck.
What the fuck?
I think it's brought
Okay.
up when Koyuki is talking to her in like a later chapter.
I'm talking about, like,
Eh.
why? Why is that a thing? How did this even happen? Am I just not
there
supposed
is
to think about
legitimately
this?
no explanation. The
Yeah.
implication is that she created the world through the power of imagination.
Like, alright, I guess that makes sense since the main character is a kid, but, I feel like there's a little structural integrity to this fantasy world I'm missing here.
Yeah, that's a statement that resounds for the entirety of the series.
Oh my, that's the subtitle, yeah.
Yeah, there's no structural integrity to the story whatsoever.
And, like, I get it. It's a
So-
fairy tale world, and there's kind of, like, no rules in fairy tales, because fairy tales are just ape shit crazy.
Sure.
But, like,
But
if you're going to
it's-
create a fantasy world, and I'm like, okay, I have to get invested in the goings-on in this place, you really gotta, create some kind of consistency. I don't know.
Yeah, because the world building is like
What world building?
there's none. It generally is, and this
You
is like
tell
my
me,
problem
you're
with
gonna-
isekai.
you're gonna
in
make this
in
isekai?
general because
You're gonna-
obviously this is an isekai.
This is a 2003
It's from 2000s
isekai.
though, so it's like
Yeah.
this is pre the Sword Art Online isekai.
Well, Sword Art
boom.
Online was originally penned in 2001, but no one cared. So, like, this is before it really
Sure.
made its mark, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But this is like...
Yeah, I'm saying it's
yeah,
before the boom.
Yeah, all bets are
and-
off in this one, because it's 2003 and no one cares.
Yeah.
So-
and that's my thing with this is that it feels very 2000s, and like it feels like it set the problem that I have with most isekai in that most isekai's worlds are boring as fuck.
Now, here's the
Like-
thing. They usually... Many... I don't think there's... Like, I think I can count on one hand all the ones that don't use this as a template, where it uses Dragon Quest as a template for its world. And, I'm a huge fucking Dragon Quest stan. So I automatically
Yeah.
love it, because I love playing Dragon Quest. Now, the
Sure.
problem with that is, if you're not going to expand on the goings-on of the world, even as a huge Dragon Quest fan, I'm gonna get fucking bored.
Yeah, that's pretty real.
Yeah,
Like-
if I care no more about this than I care about Dragon Quest II's world, but I explored cities in
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 2.
Well, it's
So.
it's like the whole. Do we just talk about the world right now?
It's okay,
like,
but you can get the words out, Ben. we have as much time as
Okay.
we need.
I hate high fantasy.
I fucking
fucking
love
hate-
high fantasy.
Okay,
We've been talking about
Yeah.
this since December. We've clashed on
Oh,
this
yeah,
for a while.
absolutely.
Yeah. I eat that shit up.
I hate high fantasy so it's like things like Lord of the Rings piss me off. I just can't watch them because it just feels so boring. And I get that it's like the time that they were created, but like where I stand right now, I find high fantasy to be boring. Like I hate Skyrim because the final
I
battle is
never
against a
played
dragon,
Skyrim.
and that's okay.
Is it
Skyrim
really?
is a fantastic game trapped in one of the most bog standard, boring ass worlds in the universe. There, I said it. Fucking hate me. I don't care.
Man,
I
that's
don't
the
like
hottest
Skyrim.
take of 2011
boring.
winter.
Skyrim is fucking boring. I like low
That
fantasy.
game's gonna be 10 years old in like 2 years.
Oh, fuck off. Don't tell me that. That's...
I remember that shit was tearing its way through the internet. But like,
Yeah,
so when it comes to
Jesus.
Mare's World, I can see why you would not even get invested in it slightly.
I like low fantasy. Like Jujutsu Kaisen is low fantasy.
Yes.
Or
Urban, yeah.
Or like to an extent I'd say that Warhammer is a weird mix of like low and high fantasy because it has dragons, but it also has like it has the best elements of high fantasy where it's like every single thing of high fantasy is turned up to
Yes,
such
iPhone
a
fantasy.
high degree, so like ridiculous that we're getting into like Elder Gods and Cthulhu and shit. And that's where it gets fun. But when you're sticking to the basic concepts of just like knights in shining armor and dragons and like, I don't know, a hydra, I get really bored. Really
I don't
easily.
know. For some reason, I like that a lot more, just because I guess I just have different aesthetic predilections than you. So it's like naturally I'm going to drift towards the things that just innately interest me more. But even then, with Mare's World, it's just not... No, I should explain. In the first third, it is just... It's like a respectable story. The world's fine for now. It feels like, all right, so we've got our group together. Now we can really just start branching out.
It feels
Then
like
it
a
just
nice
stops
warm
exploring
hug
it.
for the first half because you have the arc where Ginta meets Dorothy and she and she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
Why does she want him again?
Because
She wants Babo, right?
Yeah, I think it's like they go into the dungeon and they just fucking...
And he gets Babo,
he's just,
and then she gets wet
finessing
for a
his way
12-year-old.
through...
Don't read into that.
Oh, God.
Don't read into that.
I didn't think about
But,
that
like-
too hard, did I? He is 14,
So-
isn't he? It's
I
a
don't
new
know.
world. There's
He
no
looks
rules,
7.
Ben. There's
He
no
looks
rules
7.
in Mare Heaven.
So he goes and hangs out with Dorothy. That arc is like fine.
It's a
'cause
fine
he fights a rock
introductory arc.
monster.
Yeah, then the Rugaloo brothers
Dorothy's-
come along and swipe Babbo up.
Did that happen before he met Jack? Yeah, that must
Yeah, that
have.
happened right before.
Okay, yeah. So those guys. Oh yeah, and then he meets Sasuke.
Alvis,
he
you
meets
mean?
pole dancing Sasuke.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about the fucking...
It's literally
turtles.
it's just Sasuke.
he didn't...
Oh, I have this tattoo that
have
will
a
consume
zom-
my body. It's Sasuke.
But what,
It's Sasuke
he also
after the
has,
Orochimaru curse.
one thing I noticed, or noticed at first, and then I had to look up to confirm that the main characters are all based off, like the main cast, Ginta aside, are based off of fairy tale, like creatures. Like Snow is Snow White, Jack is Jack and the Beanstalk, Dorothy is Wizard of Oz.
No shit. Jack is Jack and the Beanstalk. His whole fucking entire motivation
But
for the series is to climb a gigantic plant.
Here's the thing. And
That's
then we got to then we got to Nanashi, right? Literally this morning, I found a theory that's very plausible that Mare is a pseudo sequel to Flame of Recca because one of the characters had a really ambiguous death of getting sucked through the black hole, and that character is Nanashi, just with a lost memory. And I'm thinking, holy, what? Like,
who was Nanashi again? The bandit?
yeah, the thief, the Luberia guild master.
Okay, so the guy with no character. Got it.
And they tried at the end. Where they're like, I'm the guy
They
who
didn't
raised
try.
you.
He didn't try very hard.
God, like, Chimera had a longer backstory than fucking Nanashi. Like, what are we talking
And Chimera's
about?
backstory was pretty legit and
was-
cool.
yeah,
Too bad that it was
good.
explained in a single chapter.
Yeah, they spent a chapter on it, and that's
Okay.
why Dorothy versus Chimera is 4 chapters long instead of 3.
Yeah, unlike every other battle. Every battle is 3 chapters long. What the
Okay,
fuck?
we're getting ahead of ourselves. So Ginta
Anyways,
goes
yeah.
and meets Jack and fights some wolves and kicks their asses.
And
He and Babbo and,
the
Jack
fucking
get
like,
along,
and everyone
they-
laughs at
yeah.
Jack for having a shovel. My only thought is, I have seen Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
I like.
Don't worry.
This is like
10 years before Shovel Knight's time.
I know, but
Yeah.
even so, it's just like I'm now at a point in my life where I can look at shovels and say, "Hey, that's fucking awesome."
Yeah.
Characters using a shovel as a weapon, that's sick.
And I mean,
I don't know.
in all fairness, with for Jack's shovel, he eventually, like, Pano thinks it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like
Good on him.
those plants. His dad was killed by a tree.
the guy with the tree on his head. We'll get there. We'll get to the chest.
He didn't
Oh
even
god.
look. Oh god. Okay, so yeah. So he attains Jack, fights a werewolf. One of the chests is introduced.
No, then the fucking
Wizard
Albus goes and fights him first. After. What?
I'm not. Oh my god.
What?
Cedric, you got to censor that.
What'd you say?
I said poppy and then which is a racial slur against people from Pakistan. Oops!
Ben.
I was just going through syllables, I don't know.
The reason I like these episodes is because I don't have to edit them. God damn it.
I forgot!
I can't. Okay, so they fucking meet Elvis in the desert town or whatever. And Elvis is like, so the chess. What are we gonna call them? The chess masters or the chess no coma? Because the translation doesn't fucking make up its mind.
Chess.
The
Just
chess.
call them the chess.
They are the chess.
Okay, and right off the bat, like, chess theming, pretty cool. Like, that's not a bad idea.
I really like that.
Because you have a really simple system of just ranking them. So you have pawns, and then you just work your way up.
Yeah, you go pawn, rook, bishop,
the
knight,
queen,
king. Like, I think that's really cool. I think that's a really cool setup for villains, and I feel that
it would have been cooler if
that.
Phantom was actually the king.
That's right. He's not. We're gonna get there.
I thought until they just said that he wasn't.
Until
I
they showed
legitimately thought that he was the king.
Until they showed his fucking knight status right before the fight.
He literally sits on a fucking throne. How the fuck is he not the king? Oh no, it's another guy.
It's a guy with no build-up, yeah.
And there is no build-up. Like, you know how in, like, no spoilers for part 5, like, how currently in JoJo's, there is, like, you have the villain, and he's, like, in shadows, and as the series goes on, and you get closer to the confrontation with the characters, it's like, oh shit, here he comes!
Who it is, yeah.
Or, like, with Dio, in part 3,
that's
he's built up as this character in... Yeah, it's like, it's all mysterious and ooh.
There's no mystery with the fucking king.
It's literally just like, people are saying, oh, the king will take care of this, or like,
this.
The queen and the king, Phantom is not the true final boss, the queen will be, and then the king, and then it's like, but
it's
where?
Like,
we see the
why
queen
should I
a lot.
care? Yeah, they give the proper backstory for the queen. The king.
She's...
Like,
it's not even proper, though. She literally was like, I wasn't evil, and then I was.
I'm greedy.
That's and that actually ties into when they attain Snow.
Oh yeah, so after they meet Albus and they're like, okay, we're gonna get stronger. Then we get the arc with Snow where they meet Ed and he's like, I need some fucking help. I'm gonna die. The princess of Lestava is in ice.
Oh my god, Snow is Koyuki!
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
So, by the way, Ed, cool idea for a character.
Yeah.
Weirdly convoluted, but it's still cool.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the most convoluted things about this series.
He has to sleep 3 times as a dog before he can become a human, and if he sleeps once as a human, he goes back to being a dog.
It's just like an unfair curse, I guess.
Yeah, that just feels dumb.
Like, why didn't you just kill him? I don't fucking know. Anyway.
It was given to him by Halloween, though, so...
Yeah. Halloween's a weird fucker. So
that's a real... But yeah, it's an interesting curse, and it means that this really powerful character isn't allowed to be powerful all the time. So... Really cool limitation. It'd be a shame if they just said, fuck it, it's gone now!
We're not there yet. Okay, so while they're about to rescue Snow, the group, Ginta and Jack and Ed, they're like, there she is, let's get her, and... So then,
there she is.
Then my favorite villain probably of the whole story, because I don't know, he means a little something. Ian appears, and he's like, this Ling
Hi,
Yao
I'm an
looking
actually
motherfucker.
somewhat compelling character.
Yeah,
This should surprise you.
He's charming. He's like good looking, and he's like a smartass. I love villains that are like. He kind of reminded me of Ling Yao from Full Metal Alchemist, even though Ling Yao is not a villain. But he kind of had that demeanor about him where he's just like, yeah, I'm smug. I'm like a smug smartass.
It also does remind me of this weird racism that Japan has towards the Chinese.
I have no. Why is that? It's so weird. I don't approve of it.
Because I imagine that the author was just holding himself back from giving him two weirdly rounded buck teeth.
Oh my god! Don't put that image in my mind. God damn it!
But
I didn't even think about that.
Look at him. Look at him! Give him a fucking straw hat and that, and you're done.
God damn it.
There you go.
Okay.
Hey man, one of my favorite fucking mangas, Blade of the Immortal, the character has a swastika on his back.
God damn it.
For the entire series. You can't read that shit in public.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they fight with Ian.
He's Buddhist, by the way. He's not a Nazi.
Ginta, well, I would hope so. I would hope so, if the protagonist was had a swastika on his back. So, Ginta and Jack, this is obviously the most cohesive podcast to date. Ginta and Jack are just so outmatched by Ian that, like, Ginta can barely keep up. Jack's just, he can't even help. So, Ed's like, hey.
He's useless as usual.
Ed's like, hey, Jack, knock me out with your shovel. He's like, all right. And then he hits Ed upside the head, and it doesn't work. But then, I forget what happens. Like, the immense power or whatever causes Ed to faint. And then, our boy Alan shows up in a really cool 2-page spread.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
And we're just like, holy shit, this guy's cool. Mm-hmm. He fends off Ian. Halloween shows up, like, we're gonna meet at the castle. The chess.
Halloween's character design, by the way, is sick as fuck.
He's probably my favorite villain character design. I was really interested to see what they were going to do with him, but we'll get to that later.
Boy, is it a shame that he sucks.
God. Man, it's like trying to make a... We're gonna get there. Anyway, so they're like, okay, so we have Snow, who's Koyuki for some fucking reason. It doesn't even make... They're just like, we're connected. It doesn't lead to anything.
Oh, it's so bad.
So
it's so fucking dumb. Like, hey,
we started this fucking podcast like there's nothing aggressively bad about Mare. And now we're just like, this sucks.
His entire motivation, his entire motivation for the entirety of this story is, I want to go back and tell Koyuki the stories of this place.
Yeah,
and that's
because
an interesting motivation.
He sees after he helps
and
Jack,
it's completely negated by the fact that she is there.
After he sees Jack and his mother reunite, they're all happy. He gets really sad because he thinks of his mom, who's like kind of depressed that Ginta left her for this other world that she was it doesn't exist.
Is this also the moment where he remembers that his dad went missing and he thinks that it might have been here?
I think so, yeah.
Was it then or was it after Nanashi?
God, I think it was after Nanashi. So much of this story, it's not because we read it quickly. So much of the story is not memorable. Fast. And the pacing...
It's fast and it's boring.
The pacing is through the roof. But for the first 40 chapters, that doesn't matter because it's perfectly respectable. It's only the next 100 that sour my opinion on it. But we'll get there. So...
Yeah.
So then, after we've rescued Snow, we have Alan. And so Alan's like, okay... So the chess are super strong. Mm-hmm. If you guys fight the chess, you will get fucking slaughtered. Luckily for you, I'm here, and I happen to have this ability that opens up a training gate. Once you go through it, time moves really slow in real time.
Hyperbolic time chamber.
So yeah, I made that joke last night.
It's the hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah, you can spend...
Dragon Ball.
If you spend 6 hours out... Well, that's what the fuck was it? 6 hours in our world is, what, 30 days, was it? I don't remember. Yeah. Like, one day is 60 days.
I love the fact that it's just like Ed has to keep, or Alan has to keep focus on the fucking thing.
Yeah.
For, like, a while. And this is what I don't like about Hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball is done so much better than
because
it
it's
is
not
in
just
this.
kept in his fucking pocket.
Because when Trunks comes out of the hyperbolic time chamber, he goes from kind of hot dude with a sword to I'm jizzing looking at him. Look at that hair. Look at that ass. Look at those abs. Look at the fact that his daddy beat him for a year and it made him cool. And then Ginta comes out and he's just kind of like scratched.
He's like, oh man, that was difficult. Like, oh
wow,
yeah.
6 months of my life wasted.
Wasted. Christ. That's right.
And I gain new powers. I can turn my hand into a ball.
Fucking hell.
Did we actually haven't even talked about what arms are yet, have we?
God damn it. Fuck. Okay. So
now I'm worried that we're not going to be able to keep this under an hour and a half.
Yeah, no, we're 30 minutes in, just so many ideas of what we want to say are flashing right through my eyes, falling through my hands like grains of sand.
Let me explain to you what an arm is.
Okay.
Do you remember those little things that they sold at kiosks when you were a kid in like the 2000s? They were these little plastic like jewelry things
when, like,
that were like,
eat a
look
ring
at how
pop
gangster
like,
this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when you
those
ate,
are
like,
now magical weapons.
like a ring pop as
you
a
can
child,
turn them into
and then like
magical
there
weapons.
was like a little toy that you could put on your finger. Remember ring pops? Yeah, they're like the weapons.
Yeah,
it's
literally
that.
It's literally just like any. This is probably how Mare could have been monetized if it was good. Would be like, go to the vending machine and get your Mare thing. Maybe you'll get a Babbo, and it would be just like a little kendama on a necklace.
You're
like
right.
Totally, yeah, I can see this working.
That's probably how. Yeah, I'm sure that's a very smart way to merchandise it, where it's just like, oh, what the hell are they called? Not vending machines, but they're like.
Things in Japan, the little twist the thing and the ball come down and it's got a thing in it.
It's got a little trinket, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Gumball Machine, but
and it's like I want to keep reading this series. I want this series to keep being serialized because I want to see what comes out next. Like what's going to happen next? Like what arm's going to appear? It's probably the best thing about Mare is it's like what's gonna.
Yeah, but it's also I'd say it's also the worst thing because it's this problem where they've created a power system where you can essentially just create any weapon and just use it.
And boy, oh boy, ain't that super convenient with the magical stones that Ginta gets for Babbo.
Oh yeah, and literally villains just give him magic stones.
Yeah.
They're just like, I want to fight Ginta when he's strong. Have a magic stone. There you go.
And it looks like, I think, hold on, from the first volume cover, it looks like Babbo could hold 4 magic stones. But I guess it's a double-sided hammer, so... I guess 8. I didn't even think about that until just now, and I felt like I was a dumbass now. Just like, where the fuck is he putting the magic stone?
But like, yeah.
But the problem with arms is that there's no limit on it. There's no power ceiling to it, so you have no idea just how crazy it can get, which I guess could excite like younger readers.
Yeah. And they try to limit it by saying like, oh, you have to feed your own individual magical energy to your arms, which
or like the what the hell was it, the ghost arms or whatever, the ones that have to merge with your body, like your quest for power will be your own undoing or something,
which is cool. Like that's Chimera's thing, and Chimera's awesome.
Chimera's probably my favorite of the fucking chess. Let me just be honest, except for Halloween.
Absolutely.
Well, no, Halloween maybe actually less, even though I said Halloween's my favorite like 10 minutes ago. Chimera means a little something.
Halloween's your favorite design. Is what you said.
Chimera's my favorite, probably, character in the chess.
Yes.
So, here's the thing with the story up to this point. So we've established arms. We're slowly getting a party together. We're training a bit. So
this has literally just been like
it's
Solo a Star Wars story. Where it's just like the first half is just Han attains everything that he needs.
Yeah, we're building up our party.
Watch him get Chewie. Watch him get his gun. Watch him get his name. Watch him get his ship.
Yeah. So
watch him get his black man.
His black man.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Lando, you're mine now. What?
Christ. Let's see. So. They learn. I think the only time they actually show the training inside the training gate is that first sequence inside the training gate, where Alan's like, "Okay, if I stay awake for a day, that's like 6 months or whatever." you have to learn how to use the sixth sense or something.
For 6 months, they're just literally punching a wall.
Yeah, it's awesome. Isn't it?
That's what I imagined it is, because it's like, you see their first couple of days in there where they're punching a wall.
Yeah.
And then Alan gets attacked by
Ian and Gita.
By the Ian.
Ian and Gita. Yeah. And then let me just say, Ian's probably the most like I'm going to take matters. He had the most
potential.
He had the most drive of any of the members of the chess. He's like, I'm going to do stuff. The other chess, they all just sit on their thumbs for the whole story. Like, no, we're not going to. Except Phantom in that one time when they were in Chaldea. But like,
because
can you imagine just how much more difficult the story would be for the main characters if the chess actually decided to do something?
Yeah, well,
it's like
because they don't do anything. They literally don't do anything.
They sit on their thumbs in Lastavik Castle for the whole plot until the war game.
People say it's like, oh yeah, the chess have. No, not yet.
Okay, so
is this it? Wait, is this the moment? Because they get snow.
We're at the training gate, and then they're going to go to the Lake City.
Right.
Yeah.
No, wait. Was that when Nanashi showed up?
Nanashi shows up at the Lake City, I think.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So they go to the Lake City.
They go to Luberia.
Yeah.
So like so they fend off.
They fight a boat.
Here's what happens first. They get out of the training gate, right? And they're like, okay, we're stronger now. They're able to fend off Ian and Gita, who's revealed to be a woman.
Whoa! That means that Ian wants to fuck her.
That's essentially what they say. But then Halloween's like, Ian, you failed twice in a row. Now you're going to be punished. And Ian's like, whatever, just don't touch Gito. And Halloween's like, okay.
And then Halloween's like, I'ma do it.
He's like, don't do it. Meanwhile, Ian's like,
don't you do it. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, fucking hell. And
instead of taking like the logical response to just like, I'm just gonna like take my revenge on the chess, Ian's like, I'm gonna still work with the chess.
I'm gonna get stronger in their ranks and
but then I'll find the person and kill and it's like, I'll find the person who did this and kill them, and it's like, Halloween did it? Because it's highly implied that Halloween did it until Chimera is just like, oh, I did it.
Yeah. Character that we've never seen before. It's like, it was me. And then I was like, okay.
Because the thing is, if Chimera is the best character, Halloween has the best design, Ian has the best build-up.
Character arc, I guess.
Yeah. He has the best potential for a character arc.
My thing, it could have been so much better.
The worst disappointment.
There is so much undercooked with Ian, and that's what I think disappoints me the most.
By the way,
so much undercooked with so fucking
don't worry, young listener who read and listen podcasts. We are barely a third of the way through, but don't worry, because 2/3 of the series are the fucking same.
Oh god.
We're actually pretty close to finishing
if it seems like we are just crawling our way through the story.
We're focusing on the stuff that needs to be focused on.
We're starting with the positives. Let's fucking be clear about that. We're not trying to like inch our way through this because we're trying to nitpick every aspect. This is the part we like the most. This is the good part. This is the best part of the series.
Okay. So anyways, Nanashi appears.
Nanashi appears when they go over the sea to Luberia. Luberia's guild is just fucked. It was ransacked by the chess.
Nanashi's motivation is that one of the chess attacked the bandits. This is when, right?
I think
this is when they say, okay, so while the crew is en route to Luberia, or I think what causes them to go to Luberia or something, the leader of the chess, whose name is Phantom, and he's not the leader of the chess, but he is the leader of the chess, but he's not. He is like, fuck it, we're declaring war on the world again. This happened 6 years ago, and I guess they lost or something.
They lost because of, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
And so,
we're just towing
the statement has been made that in a day, the chess have taken over 40% of the world.
Yep. Just fucking like, wow, that was so. And let me just say,
how expedient!
When I was like, wow, you guys are doing something. It's a shame I don't feel anything because it was done in 5 pages.
Well, because we were talking about this last night, and I was like, I have a genuine theory that because we get a look at the world map when they're conquering the world, and there are no cities marked. There's no, like, populations. It's literally just rocks on a map.
Yes.
And so my thought is that the 40% that they conquered could easily just be uninhabited parts of the world.
Territory.
So they just walked in and put a fucking flag down and said, "This is the chesses now.
This belongs to us. We found it."
Yeah. And it's like, and no one else can complain.
Yeah.
But then it's also like, because these characters, because there's no sense of power scaling with the
and there's
arms,
no sense of
just
tension
like,
with the chess because we barely know anything about them.
yeah, and so it feels like somewhat of a tangible threat, but looking back on it in hindsight with the final arc, where the chess get their fucking asses handed to them by a kid with a shovel! It's like I actually think that the areas that they conquered were uninhabited because I don't think they actually have the strength to conquer anything else.
They have numbers, and that's really all they fucking got. People without arms are just powerless, and if you have an arm, guess what? You can either join the Cross Guard, which defends Mare Heaven, or you can join the chess, and, like, just wreck shit up. Anyone outside of those two have no significance in the story. By the way, I didn't mention it before, but when Ginta and Jack met Elvis, he gave exposition that the Cross Guard is what defended the realm 6 years ago from the chess. And that, well, I guess it doesn't matter. They all suck. The Cross Guard's a joke in this story. They don't. Yeah, they don't
everyone's a joke in this fucking story.
If you're not in Team Mare,
it's like you know how
chess,
there's like the rule of like, hey, if everyone is overpowered, no one is overpowered. This is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Everyone just feels weak and limp.
There's not... Because it's like when you... Okay, we're going to get there in a sec. So, the only really tangible thing you can feel that the chess has done in taking over the world is Luberia, the Luberia Guild, and the Lake City. Because it's just torn to fucking shreds. And this is probably the best arc in the story. Where it's like, okay, so these people... You get to see people in the lake town, their lives are ruined, their houses are burned down, their crops are just fucked, their gardens are just ruined. They're like, so their chess went in that cave to fuck shit up, I guess. And so Nanashi, who is the leader of the Thieves Guild, Luberia, goes with Dorothy, and let's see, and Ginta goes with, who the fuck went with Ginta? Was it Snow?
No one.
It wasn't Snow.
Ginta hangs out with Tom.
Tom.
Who is Tom? Who could it be?
Wow.
He's wearing the mask and he has the same hair as the leader, Phantom. But who could it be?
Jesus Christ, I just noticed that. God damn.
Who could it fucking be? It took me like 2 seconds. I was literally just like, oh, it's Tom.
I mean, just from the look of his face, you can tell, like, oh man, this guy is just objectionably. He's just evil. He's an evil man. You can tell because the look on his face is the look of an evil person.
We're watching Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
And my biggest complaint with this series, and I know that it's one of those things that you have to accept when you're watching these dumb, I don't know what they're called, fucking magical girl shows. Is that when they transform into their magical girl mode, everyone just suddenly forgets what they look like. It's like, oh, Sailor Moon is like walks up to her best friend, and she's in Sailor Moon.
Friend is like Sailor Moon,
and her best friend's like, "Who the fuck are you?" Yeah. And it's just Sailor Moon, but with like jewelry on her buns, like, okay, wait, on her hair buns.
God damn it! Oh God. Okay, so...
But the point is, like, okay, you have, like, a
Jesus Christ, Ben.
And it's clearly this dude.
Jewelry on her buns.
And it's clearly this guy, and then he puts on a white mask, and everyone's like, who the fuck are you? And the same thing happens with Tom, except they expect the audience to be surprised when it's revealed that Tom is Fan Tom. And it's like, the second it's revealed, the series treats it like you're supposed to be surprised.
Like a big
and you're just
twist,
like,
yeah.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Are you sure, man?
But it's also in this arc where we get to see more of Ginta's creativity with the magical stones. The magical stones allow Babo to change form. And with that, like, form change, you get to see more creative forms of Ginta's arms since he only has the one. And so
Bubbles.
we get to see him, like, he makes a giant... he turns Babbo into a ball over his fist, which is like... he doesn't use for the last third of the story.
And he also turns him into a knife, which he also never uses.
I don't even think he uses the fucking hammer in the story.
And then he turns him into a bubble gun, which he uses twice.
He launches bubble... No, I think he uses it a fair amount of times.
I remember... maybe three. Maybe
He
three
uses
times.
them as... The bubbles are like bombs. One thing I was trying to give more points to in our discussion yesterday, Ben, was that I think they're consistent with, like, the forms that Ginta comes up with are consistent with the minds of a child, where it feels like super imaginative. He's you can tell he's a kid, and he's limited by his kid imagination of what, like, a kid would like. So it's like, okay, so I want to punch things really hard. I'm just going to cover my fist with this big metal ball and have it smash stuff. I need to make a bomb, but it's also silly, so it's like, I need to make a bubble launcher. And then in this arc, we have Gargoyle, which is just a big fucking beast that shoots a big laser, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and I can see that working with a character who's a kid, but he's 14.
He is 14, yes. I think, isn't
And
he like the
when you're
youngest character in
14,
the cast, though?
you're a big edgelord, and you're thinking... So I imagine...
No, Ginta's a dreamer.
Because I
He's
can
had the same
imagine like
dream
a
102
child
times.
character doing that.
But I do feel like it has more credit
for
because,
Ginta,
like...
it would make more sense if he was just like...
If he was younger?
Yeah, it would make more sense for those weapons if he was younger, or if he just got different weapons and they were just, like, based off of video games or manga or anime. And you could set that up by, like, having him in the early chapter or two, like, reading manga about his favorite hero or, like, watching a Kamen Rider series. And so... then you could have that pay off with, instead of Gargoyle, it's literally just, here's Kamen Rider.
I mean, I guess they did sort of foreshadow that.
It's Kamen Rider Babbo.
I guess they did foreshadow that with, Ginta loves his mom's stories. So, like,
that's fair.
Because it's like...
But they're lame. They're all lame, except for Gargoyle.
I mean, the characters in
the girl.
Alice, yeah. The characters in the story even make fun of Ginta. Like, even Snell's like, what the fuck? You chose a ball? That's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Or and then when he chooses a booby girl, they're like, okay, Ginta, yeah. All right,
you're a kid your age, after all. Even
right,
Babbo hates
off
it.
to write my hentai.
Yeah, Babbo hates fucking taking the form of Alice because he's like, no, I don't want to be this.
Oh my god, I just realized that's his dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even weirder.
That's even worse. So yeah, you can imagine
Babbo,
why he would hate that.
Okay, so I guess we'll just say it now. So they beat Tom and Lackey, and they're all hanging out in a bar. And so throughout the series, they've mentioned this hero who fought against the chess a while ago and lost and died, whatever.
He sacrificed his life to hold them off or something. And his name is Dana.
And they just call him Dan, I think, is what it is.
Dana
right?
is what it is.
Yeah.
D-A-N-N-A.
And so Ginta is just kind of like sitting around, just kind of like picking his nose and avoiding drinking beer because he's 14.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of perks up and looks at everyone and is like, yo, Dan was my dad.
It's like, yeah, this hero Dana you're mentioning, that's my dad. That's my dad's name.
That's my dad.
So my dad is dead.
That's my dad. Okay. Like, and everyone just kind of believes him.
He's the hero.
Just like,
he has to be believed.
I guess he's your dad.
It's like, all right.
Well, okay then.
No characters are like trying to guess what his facial features were to like match it up with Ginta's memories. They just believe him. But okay.
Yeah.
So after they fight off
dad.
the chess in Luberia, that night, during that celebration, the chess have a PSA on, like, projected onto the moon, and they're like, we're gonna start the war games right now.
What? What are the war games?
The war games are a big tournament that will decide the fate of Mare Heaven.
Ooh, a tournament arc? I love those. The Hero Aka tournament arc is one of the best arcs in a manga I've read in ages.
Hold them. The war games are going to be in Ragnrave, or whatever the fuck it's called. Ragnrave.
Wow!
And
I can't wait. Let's go!
yeah, so everyone just teleports They don't even travel. They just fucking whoop the instant transmission themselves to Ragnarave. And the Crossguard is there. They run into Alvis again, and Alvis rejoins the group. The whole party...
Yeah, Alvis rejoins the group and also punches the curse out of Ed and Alan and separates them.
No, Alvis didn't do that. Ginta did that with Alice.
Who? Oh, Alice! Fucking...
Yeah. When Alice
I feel like you wrote...
yeah.
It feels like he wrote that character and then was like, wait a minute, I said that only holy magic can dispel Ed and Alan's curse.
Yeah, so...
Guess I'll just do that now.
I mean, yeah, you may as well. There's no reason. If you have a character with the ability to do that actively, and they have a whole day of downtime, like, goddamn, why not? But let's talk about
Boy, I sure am glad that
that
they did that just in time for Alan to do literally nothing.
Say, I'm not going. But, okay, so let's talk about the War Games, because the War Games is... Are you ready for this? The rest of the story...
It's 100 chapters.
We summarized everything up to chapter 60.
Chapter 40, actually.
I feel like the only other thing that we can talk about after the War Games is the ending, and then I think that's all.
I mean, there's that one part in the middle where they go to Chaldea and get the other arms for the rest of the group, so they can stand a chance against the fucking Knights. The War Games are. It's a 100 chapter long tournament arc. There's about 110, 115 chapters left of the story.
They're so boring.
And the thing is, it's battle after battle. Okay, I like tournament arcs more than a lot of people will. They're like my favorite types of story arcs.
They're so good.
And I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love the one. I love the tournament arc in My Hero Academia. I love the tournament arc in Black Clover. I love the tournament arc in Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know if that counts as much. Well, I guess the first half.
It counts. Yeah. You get one-on-one battles where characters are espousing their individual beliefs and fighting each other, conflicting with other people. Yeah, it's a tournament
basically
arc.
I love tournament arcs. Now, my biggest gripe with them, the thing that Flame of Recca's tournament arc did that I will always appreciate is that it introduced multiple groups and factions that even after the tournament arc remained important to the story. And of course there would be throwaway villains because the tournament arc is long, but it felt like there were actual tangible obstacles that had to be conquered.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with the War Games.
Mm-hmm.
The opponents are a fucking joke. And they don't mean anything. Here's okay. So before the War Games start, you have to pass a test, and Team Mare gets to take the test, obviously. And the Crossguard's like, awesome, we have all these numbers, we're gonna take the test. The Team Mare just breezes through the fucking test, right? And they're like, all right, that was easy. They turn around, and the Crossguard is just dead. Demolished. They get fucking killed.
It's just it's such a weird power balance or power imbalance.
Yeah.
There's no scale.
It doesn't
to just
because
we have no idea what the Crossguard were capable of, so we can't measure that with anything. So it's okay, either the Crossguard was just a bunch of random schmucks, or they were the biggest, baddest dudes in the entire area. Which means what Mare did was fucking sick.
What we know up to this point is that, the Crossguard defended the realm, and obviously they did their best because, they won 6 years ago. But if we are
Did we mention that they call their team Mare, by the way?
Yeah, we did.
Because they do.
Yeah.
Because the world is called Mare Heaven.
Yeah. And Ginta loves
so
Mare
retarded.
Heaven.
It's so dumb.
So, what happens is... I think what I'm saying is, if I'm to believe that the Crossguard's ability is proportional to that test that Ginta and the group breezes through in 2 pages, then it really doesn't give me an idea that the Crossguard are all that special.
So as a writer, what you should be doing is your job, which is world building, because again, for 100 chapters we are in a room.
We're just in this. We're in a room. We are just in this place, right? And
You're in
Like-
it's a ruined, fucked up castle, and they're standing there, and that's it.
Yeah. And they like stand on the sidelines like, all right. And I think that like if I explained this to you before because it's so underwhelming that it's in a tournament like this. I was thinking, what if after all the Stardust Crusaders were gathered, right? They just teleported to Dio's castle, and then just had a 100 chapter tournament arc in which they fought
just
all
instant
the cronies.
transmission to Egypt.
Yeah, where they fight all the cronies in one-on-one fights that don't mean anything.
I just like to imagine the fucking boat. Just
oh god,
strength was it?
Yeah,
just in a
if
room.
Strength just was just appeared. I'm gonna see the Wheel of Fortune in a fucking like desert.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, I guess
but
they
yeah,
were in the
that's
desert.
like that is the point though. Is just like this is
It's
so underwhelming.
and because it's fight after fight, like tournaments tend to be, but because the battles are just such a significant step down from Flame of Recca as a whole, is that the fights there are
which
too
I've got
many
I've got like
fights.
no context for. But for me, I'm comparing it to other tournament arcs like Jujutsu Kaisen or Hiroaka, where new characters are introduced and immediately characterized. They have their own personal drives and goals.
Yes.
And with Mare, it's like characters are introduced and characterized, but it's done in a really formulaic way.
Like, yeah, we get
Yeah.
like they are strong and evil, and the fights, because they're so short, have barely any depth or layers to them at all. It's basically one obstacle that they have to
like
get
Rapunzel.
past. Oh my god,
She sucks.
She also
and I think that like what makes her suck, and I feel like the author realized this almost immediately upon her introduction, was that like having a villain who kills off their own team members is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a series. It just doesn't make sense, even if the team member is like useless. And it's such a like oh, here's me characterizing my villains as evil. We
Yeah.
don't need to see that, because if they're morally standing like against the heroes, if they're trying to do something that the heroes don't agree with, that's enough to have them be an antagonist.
right.
And so it's like it's not necessary for like, oh, when one of the members of Rapunzel's team loses, they just die. They're just killed by Rapunzel.
Yeah, you turn
And
the
it's
page
like-
and then their heads chopped off, and it's like, all right.
And it's at that exact moment that I just kind of looked at that page and said, man, I miss the Phantom Troop.
Yeah,
They're so cool. They do like
I need to go back through
they're
Hunter x
because they're
Hunter. I've
all
been meaning to
friends.
rewatch
They
it.
all like each other. They're evil as fuck.
They kill people,
But they're
but
you
they
can,
are
you can
characterized.
just
You
imagine
get insight as to
hanging
why
out
they
with them
feel
and being
that
like,
way.
yeah,
You can like
Phantom Troop.
they are characterized as to like why they're in the position that they're in. When
Yeah.
you look at the chess, someone specific like Rapunzel, it's like you are just a bad person, and I have to disagree with you because there are too many battles taking place in too short of a time with too little breathing room for us to develop you anymore.
So let's kill you. And so Ian kills her because Phantom tells him to.
No, I thought Dorothy
Honestly,
killed her.
I
wait,
feel
no,
like
yeah.
we can pretty
Ian did
much
kill her.
skip every single battle up until the final arc.
Well, there's that one portion in the middle where we can talk about with Chaldea, the Kingdom of Chaldea, Dorothy's home. But like basically
Oh,
what
right,
happens
they
for the
leave
next
for a
40
while.
chapters in between is that battles, Ginta trains, Ginta and the rest train. Battles, Ginta trains, he gets the fourth form of Babo, which is Alice. He breaks
and
the
it's
curse on
literally
Alan and Ed.
when they say
and
when we were saying like battles and then training, it's literally everyone do a battle, go into the hyperbolic time chamber. Everyone
That
do a
night,
battle,
yeah.
go into the hyperbolic time chamber. It is
And-
formulaic
and-
as fuck.
despite Mare being less than half as long than Flame of Recca, Flame of Recca is 33 volumes long, and it's much more engaging. Despite it being less than half that length, the War Games is just mind-numbing to read at portions. It is
Yeah.
such a fucking slog in the middle.
And and it doesn't help that like characters will straight up win battles but then be considered to have lost because of some arbitrary rule or condition of an opponent's attack.
Right.
But it's
not
like
something like
every single time that an opponent loses, they lose, like, they die. And every single time a character loses, they just go like, oh, I guess you got me.
Yeah, it's not interesting like the Dark Tournament in Yu Yu Hakusho, or even the tournament arc in Flame of Recca, because it's like it doesn't feel like a steady uphill climb, because the odds are just so stacked in Team Mare's favor, where it's like, oh, I guess I need to train some more.
Yeah, because there are no consequences for Mare.
Right. There is
like,
absolutely zero time for the team in Flame of Recca to train, except for that one portion at the end where Rekka absolutely needs to fucking train. Everyone needs to, like, stall his battle, like, keep those going for as long as fucking possible.
Should I read Flame of Recca?
We'll get there. I'm up for a reread, because thanks to Mare, I do like it more.
Right.
But, we'll get to that in a while. We're not going to be getting to that for a bit, but I will put that on the list. So, basically, with the war games, it's like, it doesn't feel like there's as much consequence. And with that part in the middle, it's like, okay, so there are slightly more things. It's like, there are slightly more characterization moments, but it doesn't feel like they make me care for the characters more. They just feel like something that happens because, this is the story. We have to present the story this way. This is the stuff So it's like Ginta and Jack being like, we're going to avenge our fathers. Or, like, Dorothy being like, I have to go home because I have to meet with the Grand Elder and bring the group, because we're going to get more arms for the group so we can stand a chance against the chess. Or just even
Which
going
they
back,
already do.
Back into the hyperbolic time chamber. Right.
Back into the time chamber with you, Goku.
It doesn't mean that, like, these characters are going to get stronger, because it's like, I'm referring to the chess. It doesn't mean that the chess are going to get stronger, because they're all one-note obstacles. If you get past the one thing that defines their battle style, you have won the battle, and that does not change for the upper knights in the chess, because after you get past, like, their one obstacle, that's all they have to offer. And instead of it being, I went to the time chamber for 10 minutes to train, it's, I got the new arm from Chaldea, and I'm going to activate it right now. Because of that, even if characters get, like, take notice of the new arms that they got in Chaldea. Like, I remember that, Roland took note of Alvis's arm that he got in Chaldea. He still loses to the same fucking attack that he watched and was like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch out for that. It doesn't mean anything. What was the point of including that if it's not going to mean anything? You're just wasting my time.
Welcome to Mare.
Welcome to Mare. Welcome to Mare Heaven, where we're going to determine
a gigantic waste of time. Like, yeah.
Like, so with that, the actual, you think like, okay, so maybe the battles aren't just interesting, but at least we can have them take place in interesting places, right? Because before the day's battles are determined, some dice are rolled. See what you might see some sort of
dice.
They roll a 6-sided die, right? Well, they go to, so you can imagine, okay, there are 6 rounds. We're going to go through all of the sides of the die. We go to the standard one that we just have in the ruined Regenrib. We have the desert, we have the volcano, we have the ice, and that's it. We don't see the other two, because I'm guessing that Anzai decided that it would be easier to draw the desert again.
Oh, but each of these areas must have cool, like, ideas and, like, little monsters that might show up and, like, make the battle difficult for everyone.
Cool little set pieces that we could have to make it really
feel like,
feel
the gravity in this area doesn't work, so everyone has to use their No!
There's only one time that happens. It's when Jack tries to use his, 2 times that happens. When, in the ice area, when Jack tries to use his plant growing ability, in the ice flow, it doesn't work because you can't grow plants in ice, so he has to use a different strategy. And when Snow loses to the anger anchor and the volcano because her snow abilities melt in the fire.
No, it's because she's a woman. She can't win.
No, Dorothy wins every battle she's in.
Well,
even
that's
if
because
it doesn't make any
she
sense,
doesn't count.
Even if it doesn't make any sense for her to have won the fucking battle, she's still going to win. I remember there was this one portion where it seemed like she was completely
this is the problem with Mare, is where it doesn't matter what new shit they get, because every character is so ridiculously busted.
And even if even if they lose the round, they already know where they need to improve. So they even make note, okay, I just need to improve this if I'm going to win the later rounds.
Do!
And then they do. They go back into the time chamber and just do.
Oh,
and then
how
they
about
can't be
this?
stopped.
How about this idea? Because I think that the author realized how busted his characters were becoming as he was writing the series, and said the only actual way that it could even remotely make sense for them to even be in the slightest bit of danger is if they took the chess on one-on-one. Can you honestly imagine any member of the chess losing if Mare, literally the entire team of Mare, ran up to them and just attacked?
And just bum rushed them. If they just blitzed them. Like, here's the thing. I can forgive all the one-on-ones, because if you make it seem like the opponents have some sort of tangible threat, if you're going to say, like, okay, they ruined this town, they conquered 40% of the world, like, Ginta gets his shit wrecked against Phantom when Phantom just wants to fight him while they're in Chaldea. Like, you're trying to make it feel like they have some sort of threat, right? Well, if you're going to do that, then you shouldn't be stacking the odds so much in your own character's favor while you are doing that, because that eliminates any sort of tension that the proper fights, the big climactic battles, could have. Because you are just breaking your characters. Like the power system, the arm system, you are just busting them, because you keep giving into magic stones, you keep, like, throwing them into the time chamber, you keep, like, giving the rest of the party new arms, because they are going to the place where all arms originated, and the Grand Elder happens to be on the side of justice, so you know what? I'm going to give you these ridiculously busted guardians that you can just use to get past these people. Because it's like, and that leads me to another question with the story, like, if these arms existed, and were capable of wrecking the chess's shit, why the fuck did they take over as much of the world as they did if these arms were already in existence?
Because that part of the world was completely unpopulated. That is my headcanon.
It makes the most sense for it to be that. Because I can't imagine... There's that one portion in Chaldea where Ginta, right before Ginta fights Phantom, where he runs up and he just demolishes 30 rooks in, like, 2 pages.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, goddamn, if all of Team Mare was behind Ginta, they probably could have beaten Phantom right fucking there, 2/3 of the way through the story. They're trying to make it seem like, God, Ginta's like, I was so weak I couldn't do anything against Phantom. I'm like, boy, you just didn't have the rest of your gang there to fuck him up.
So, for the rest of the story, there is no tangible threat at all, whatsoever.
Yeah. So it's like, where else can we have the story shine if there's no tension in the battles of this battle-centric fucking manga?
Do you like a twist? Do you like the twist ending?
Ben, do you want to take the wheel?
I'll take the wheel.
Okay.
So,
I've been talking a lot.
Boy, oh boy, does the tournament go in the favor of fucking everyone. Mare wins. Mare fucking mops the floor with everyone. Here are the knights. They lose. Here's this character, Halloween. Who was he? He was kind of like a serial killer, I guess, in a town that Alan grew up in, and Alan was like, I forgive you, and then Halloween's like, what? And then dies. Then you have Chimera, who's a character that's introduced, and she's like, after the last Phantom War, I married this guy. He was super cool and nice, but he also had worked for the Phantom, and then a bunch of people from Mare Heaven killed him because he worked for Phantom, and that sent me on a downward spiral into depression and misery, to a point where all I wanted was to die and infuse my body with these horrible fucked up weapons called ghost arms that essentially, like, horribly ruin my body but give me massive power.
Yeah, she basically sacrificed her humanity because she just went on a huge downward spiral.
It's a really cool character arc, and then she's like, okay, I'm done. Also, I'm the one who cursed Ghetto or whatever the fuck,
Albus.
Like,
you're thinking of Ghetto from Jujutsu Kaisen.
That's done.
Ghetto.
Whatever. Anyway,
we read the Jujutsu Kaisen prequel last night. Oh, we almost forgot one thing, dude.
What?
Remember Magical Rose fight with Snow? In which the latter is absolutely pathetic against the former until he just kidnaps her and takes her to Lestava Castle, because guess what? The queen's like, I want to kidnap Snow. I'm going to send Magical Row into the chest so he can just do that and take Snow out of the story for the rest of the fucking thing until the last 2 chapters. And it's
Why
like
is
Snow barely
so
realizes.
useless?
Snow barely
Why is
realizes
everyone
where
in
she
this
is for a
series
second. She
useless?
gets trapped in the fucking bubble, and he's like, "I'm going." This magical Rose like, "I was your caretaker, and I'm stealing you to take back to Lostava Castle." And Snow, next panel, there's not even a lead into her emotions. She's just like, "No, don't let them take me, Ginta!" And then she pops away, and Ginta's like, "Snow, no." It doesn't fucking matter.
And then it's like, oh, we'll use her to open the doorway to the realms because
The
she has
real
like a
world.
doorway to the realms.
We're going
and
to
then they
use
go
Snow
into the queen
to
and
go to
deck
the
her in the
real
schnoz,
world.
and then she's done.
Yeah.
And then they open the door to who's
Yeah.
gonna. Oh, that's right. They also beat Phantom.
Oh yeah, we almost forgot. Did I miss that? Guess what? The story's not interested in exploring that part either. Phantom gets a fight that's twice as long as the usual tournament fight, and then it ends. He's like, I'm not going to lose. He takes off his bandages that are covering all of one arm. It's like a big fucking club arm covered with bandages. Turns out it's decked out with arms.
Yeah,
It actually
he just
looks really
jams them
sick.
into his arm.
Yeah, it actually
He
does look
jammed
really
arms
sick.
into his arm.
Oh god, funny stuff. Yay!
Oh yes! How very cool! He did the thing that Chimera did better.
Yeah. So they beat Phantom, right? Snow just becomes a damsel in distress, and so they're like, "All right, we've won the war games, but the fight's not over yet. We still have one volume left to go. We have to take the fight to Lestava Castle and rescue Snow." So this
we
could
beat
this could
Phantom.
this could
Let's
potentially
go and punch the queen in the face.
And that's not even mentioning, like, all the things we skipped over that don't matter. Like, Phantom's right-hand girl who's in love with him. Like, the fucking everything else. Babbo getting his memories back.
Cedric, who are you talking about? I actually forget that character 100%.
Was it...
What did she do?
She loves Phantom. And that's her character.
Was she the one with the mask?
Was she?
That wasn't Chimera?
It might have
And she
been.
had, like stockings?
I think, what was it? I'm looking through chapters right now. Like, I'm trying to look through them. Candace. Candace was her name.
Series.
It was Candace. Yeah, she was the one who had the mask and was like...
Yeah, okay.
She was the one in the One Piece and the iPad.
It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't...
Because nothing...
Yeah.
Because her character isn't interesting, so who gives a fuck?
And it's not
Anyways,
like the story's going to
we
focus
go to
on
the
her.
castle where
And to
Snow
fight
is
the
being
chess.
held the villain prisoner, and you punch the queen in the schnoz.
Yeah,
and then
that's not even
they're like,
mentioning all the
"Oh,
stuff
the king,
with,
he is behind the door."
Oh, hold on.
Who could
We
it
almost
be?
forgot.
Well, we've
Here's
only had
here's
one
of the
character that
funniest
we've talked about
parts.
and never shown on fucking screen. They open the door. It's Dana.
Oh no, it's such a huge twist. It's Dana. I can't
It's-
fight my dad, even though it's heavily implied that when Babbo got his memories back at Caldia that it was his fucking dad. It's like, oh, I'm gonna give you back your memories, Babbo. And then Babbo's like, he turns, he's like, Ginta, is it you? Is it really you?
I'm your dad.
He's like, his kid's like, what are you talking about? And Babbo's like, never mind. I didn't say anything.
And then Ginta is like, "Are you high?" And Babbo's like, "Yeah,
Oh,
I am."
God. Like, I'm
so-
done.
And so
they fight through.
Fight Dana.
So Ian gets Guido back to normal. We didn't even touch it. So Halloween and Chimera fucked up Guido, turned into her like a worm vegetable woman. And
Oh, God.
Guido
Well,
decks
yeah, but
Chimera in the
that-
schnoz and gets her to turn him back to normal. So Ian gets a happy ending. The other
Sure.
members of Mare, Jack just fucking tramples over all the chests because they're pathetic. And Albus and Alan fight Magical Row in like 5 pages, and it really makes it evident just how nothing Snow was in the team, because the person who just kidnapped her, beat the shit out of her, is beaten in 5 pages because again, Team Mare is absolutely busted as a group, so Magical Row is not able to fucking fight. They get Snow back. Dorothy fights the Queen in 2 chapters, and it's not even a full 3-chapter fight. It's 2 chapters. It's like, and they fight the king. Everyone's like, Ginta, don't give up.
Wait.
He's like, that's right.
Wait.
What's up?
With Ginta fighting Dana,
Yeah.
this is the exact timeline of events.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Oh,
But-
we almost forgot. Elvis gets the zombie tattoo. We didn't mention this fucking.
Oh.
He has a zombie tattoo that's slowly eating away at him and will kill him
doesn't
if it
matter!
become complete. So he gets a fucking key. He gets a key that he has to insert into Phantom's chest. And because Phantom just got the shit kicked out of him like 3 chapters ago, he can't do anything. And his
do
right hand
anything about
girl
it.
doesn't even try to stop him. Here's the thing. Okay, I was gonna touch on this a little later, but okay, we're stepping back in a second. So the thing I can't stand with the last chapter of Mare, and this is something that has been a slightly persistent problem, that's the biggest problem in the whole fucking thing up to that point, is that the panel layout just feels like it's cutting corners at portions, where it feels like we need to
good.
lead in
I
more.
thought we were going to
with
skip talking
someone's-
about that.
We're going to lead in more with someone's emotions. And no, we're just going to jump right to the emotions, so it doesn't feel like it's happening. Hold on, I'm actually looking at the chapter right now as we speak, with the key that Elvis has.
Because I can actually tell you my grievances, because there are...
Yeah.
My problem with the panel layout is how they will build up attacks, and it'll take up an entire page, and when the attack takes up, and when the attack lands, it takes up, 1/6 of the actual page. And it looks lame as fuck. They have
it's so
Dorothy,
uneven.
go in for a big stab, and she, does the big wind-up, and it takes up a huge page, and then the actual stab is, 1/6, and then the character falls over, and the chapter ends, and that's
And
nothing.
the most disappointing part about that is because the art is good. The
Yeah,
art is
it really
really,
fucking
really
is.
good. And,
Especially
okay.
against the final boss. Because, again, final fucking actual battle against fucking King. Here's what happens. He fights
Yes.
King, who's Dana, but it's not Dana, because Dana is in Babbo,
Dana's corpse is
and
being-
the King,
yeah.
and so Dana's body is
consciousness.
possessed by Satan, and
Basically.
so Ginta's like, hey, I've got an idea, and he
Dorothy
switches
just gave
with
me
Babbo.
a fucking magic stone. Dorothy was like, I had this magic stone the whole fucking story, so I'm going
Yes.
to give it to you now, not before when you might have needed it. Doesn't matter. I had it the whole
Yeah.
time, just fucking whatever. He's like, okay, I have this new magic stone. Why don't I just undo that? Use it to undo all the things. Let me fix everything
Yes.
right now. So,
Yeah, but not before Ginta goes onto, a planescape and hangs out with Satan, and then punches Satan in the schnoz and be like, don't be Satan, Satan, and Satan's like, okay, I guess.
and he explodes. Ginta literally punches him once and then talks him into submission over the course of half a chapter.
Because it was the power of friendship.
No, it's because he was out of pages to show, probably. And then they go back to
And
the
then
real
it
world.
ends.
Satan exists, and Ginta uses Gargoyle, and Satan's like, the humans will destroy this world with their own hands. And that's it. The king is
Okay.
rescued. Snow
Who cares? Moving on.
gets her father back. Dana is brought back
Mm-hmm.
to life because he's never died. He was just being controlled. Babbo and Dana's consciousnesses are separate, and they're both chill, I guess. And everyone gets a happy ending. Ian's happy. The chess is no
Yeah.
more because they're pathetic.
Dana comes back home with Ginta. and
Dana
they're
goes back
happy.
home with Gint. Jack makes a giant beanstalk. Dorothy kills her sister. That's actually a little sadder than that, but it's not like we have enough time to, really get to know their
So,
their relationship.
Cedric.
So let's talk about a couple other things. I was
Would you-
talking about the art before.
Maybe.
What's up?
Recommend Mare.
I would recommend Mare if you had absolutely nothing else to read.
I would recommend Mare if every single manga was eradicated from the face of the earth.
Literally, we started this podcast no, there's nothing aggressively bad about it. And then we started talking
No.
It's just-
it's there's nothing aggressively
it's
bad
just
about it. It's
so
just
average.
disappointing at
It's-
how average it is.
and the thing is, it wasn't always like that. The first third is good. And then you get to the war games and it just fucking
Yeah, we
dies.
were nitpicking stuff. It is genuinely good.
Yeah. We didn't, here's my, the other things I wanted to touch on, because I'm going to
Yes.
be angry at myself if I forget.
Right.
The one part with the panel layout, the thing where it was the worst, where it's just seemed like what the fuck happened here? No thought was put into this. Is that sequence where Albus finally kills Phantom and gets rid of the zombie tattoo. He's sitting in his chair. Phantom's like, oh, you're gonna fight me, Albus? And then Candace is like, no, I'll fight him, Phantom. And Phantom's like, no. And from that scene, one page before, Albus was at the door, the entrance of the room, and then at the bottom of the page I was talking about, it seems like he just teleports right in front of Phantom and
he
puts the
King
fucking key in
Crimson's
his
up to Phantom.
Yeah, and he just puts the fucking key in his chest and Phantom disintegrates.
Yep.
It's so fucking
Yep.
bad. And the other thing, I remember we were talking before, back when you were still reading there, was
Mm-hmm.
The aesthetics. Just like seeming it was not generic, but like it's what you think of when you think of 2000s shonen anime. Like spiky hair, baggy pants. And I'm thinking, this feels kind of familiar. What other franchise can I think about that with like spiky hair, people with baggy pants, like ridiculous proportions? And then it dawned on me. Kingdom Hearts. Characters, spiky hair, baggy pants, giant feet, young characters, going to different worlds, summoning different creatures, building a party,
You are so fucking
fighting
correct.
an organization. It's all the same.
Holy shit, man.
The main character's weapon takes on multiple different forms.
Oh my fucking god. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's literally just Kingdom Hearts.
It's Kingdom Hearts with
Fuck.
none of it. It's like the opposite Kingdom Hearts.
That makes
where
it
it has
worse.
no story. You know Kingdom Hearts is too much story? Mare has none. There's no story.
Yeah.
There's other things I could touch on, like the fact that we could say, like, and I even made that joke last night, that Snow's so useless, she's the Kyrie of the story.
That is literally the case, yeah.
Yeah, she's the girl.
She's just Kyrie.
It's the same. I don't even dislike Snow, she just doesn't do anything of note.
Yeah. I dislike her for that reason, but, like, there's actually nothing.
For me, it's just impossible to be mad at something that's just nothing. Like, as much as we've been nitpicking and raging over the last, like, hour and a half, it's hard for me to say the series is bad because it doesn't do anything aggressively bad. It's just a lot of nothing.
Yep.
And in some cases,
It's
that could be
really-
worse. Like, if I feel like you're wasting my time, and also just disappointing in the series. Like, this is coming from a creator that I know has been able to create a story that is over twice as long, that's much more engaging, with a much better, like, I know this person knows how to write characters. I know they know how to make good panel layout with much more impressive art. I know they know how to keep drawing backgrounds. The backgrounds just essentially vanish halfway through, or if they come in, it's because they absolutely
the final battle
have
is in
to.
a blank room.
It's in a white void. The backgrounds disappear and only reappear because they absolutely have to. It's probably the reason the desert setting was used for the war games for 2 of the 6 fucking rounds. Because it's easy to draw because sand dunes don't need any goddamn texture.
Nope. So, that's... yeah.
So, you know, when it comes to the whole thing overall, do you ever have ups and downs with a piece of media, Ben? And so many thoughts just fly through your mind, but then at the end, you just think, that was okay.
At the end, you know what? Was it worth it?
No,
No.
but I also don't think it wasn't not worth it. It just,
I mean...
it's not anything.
It's an experience. We can
It's a
say,
unique experience. You know,
we read Mare.
I feel that the biggest structural success of Mare, and also its greatest downfall, is how it moves very quickly from battle to battle. It really raises the chance that it makes you think in a much better series that even if there is something that didn't like tickle your fancy with a certain battle, it'll be quickly followed up by something else with a different flavor to it. The only problem is that because of the war games, because the last 2/3 of the story has this structure, you don't get to see any more of Mare Heaven. You don't get to have as many interactions with the main cast. They're all relegated to like side stuff. The battles are the main focus. And when there are too many battles in too little of a time with too little breathing room, it becomes hard to care about the battles when they're between characters that you end up not caring about because they either don't have enough depth in the main cast, or they're just one-note villains that don't matter because, you know, they're just fodder. You could probably shorten the war games by half and not lose anything. Like...
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, there's nothing.
It's just very unfortunate. It makes the main villains look like jokes because...
Yeah.
Like, you think, oh man, the guys are dangerous. And then it's like, man, oh man, I was not expecting just how stacked the odds were in the protagonist's favor. Chapter 152, the fall of the chess, the downfall of the chess, it's exactly that. Jack stomps through all of the chess outside. Albus and Alan just beat the shit out of Magical Row. Chimera is forced by Ian to turn Guido back to normal. Snow is eventually rescued in the next coming chapters by Dorothy. Ginta beats Satan in the orb. They have no problem. And then just like that, the day is saved. And it feels like I'm playing an old school Nintendo game where...
Yeah, I do get that feeling.
Which
you could
be part
make
of...
the idea
Yeah.
that, like, the author was trying to do something like that, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it's
you
still
can make
narratively unsatisfying.
Yeah, you can make a manga adaptation of a Nintendo NES, idea and give it depth, because that was done essentially 10 years ago with Dragon Quest Dino Daiboken. And that one is one of the best-selling manga series of all time. So they did something right.
Well, then again, so was Naruto, but...
Well, I guess popular doesn't equal good, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it struck a chord with it resonated with a lot of people where they wanted to see what was going to happen next. And I can see why that led to Mare getting a 3-year serialization. Because, why not want to see? It's if this isn't technically bad in the first third, then why not keep trying to support this series and see what happens over the next 100 chapters, because maybe it will be just as good as the first third. They're introducing a bunch of interesting ideas, and in a sense they keep doing that with the last 2/3, with Chaldea, with Snow getting kidnapped, with the new forms of Babbo. It just doesn't feel like there's as much impact, and I don't feel like it doesn't have nearly as much of the emotional gravitas as it should, because we don't get enough time to resonate with it. We just have to keep going through the battles. And even with the last one volume, it's the worst in the last volume, where the backgrounds just completely vanish. Even I noticed in the last few chapters, the art,
apart.
The art gets a little sloppy. I noticed.
Yeah. And it is too bad, because the art is genuinely good at times. It really...
Oh, yeah.
There are some pretty impactful moments. With
Anzai
just
can really design
Gargoyle's
a monster.
reveal is really sick.
Even Alan's first reveal in that sick double-page spread, that got me really hyped, and I was very excited to see where that was coming. Then
it just kind of doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything, and then the storming Lestava castles, it kind of falls apart, because I figured they realized, okay, Anzai was probably this series is at the end. We are at the end, so why even focus on all of these things? If I busted my power system, everyone needs to get a happy ending. Let's just do that, because I've not explored the themes deep enough to where I can, in the time I have left, create a satisfying narrative arc, so let's just give everybody a happy ending. There's nothing really else that can be explored here, and it really is unfortunate, where, again, you are in a high fantasy. The only thing you are limited by is your own creativity. And if you're going to go into the war games, you're absolutely limiting yourself.
And it says a lot about that creativity when this is what you came up with.
Yeah, I think you said, what a boring fucking fantasy. And even though I can give Anzai points, he knows how to design multiple fantasy creatures. He's very adept at character design. Everyone is unique. I especially liked how he was able to characterize some of the cast. I loved Babbo's personality. I loved him just being a smug jerk-ass for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I loved that. Just the first
essentially just Dana's personality, so we kind of learned Dana.
I guess that's fair. And even this entire time, some of the characters, even though they can be persistent throughout the main story, it doesn't feel like they have as much impact as they should, because we haven't even talked about them this entire podcast. We didn't mention just how free-spirited Dorothy was, how much of a player Nanashi was. I loved the part in the beginning where Genta gets to Mayor Heaven and he's just loving everything because he's a kid and he's finally seeing the world of his dreams. We haven't even talked about Belle. Remember Belle? We don't know. Yeah, Albus's fairy.
Right. Yeah.
Remember? I don't think she talks at all for the last third.
Well, and it speaks more to the fact that the dude who wrote this made some pretty good baselines for characters. Like, he had
Yes.
a decent start, but he just didn't know how to give them an arc or have them evolve at all.
I feel like he was a victim of his own ambition, where he was setting up a lot of these things. And I don't know if he just got cold feet at the last minute by introducing the war games
Just got
and just
bored.
going back into the same arc format that basically made his previous major work as well remembered as it is, because it's the most well remembered arc from Flame of Recca, even though I think the arcs following it are much better. It feels like he was, maybe he got cold feet at the last minute. Who knows? I have no idea what sort of happened, but maybe he just felt like, this adventuring style is just not for me. I know how to do a tournament arc. I've done them before, so I can just. It felt like he was going through the motions with this, which is super unfortunate because I know, I know this is a creator that has proven themselves before. And I remember like a year or so ago, there were rumors of him making a new series sometime soon. Maybe when he makes another series, he'll be able to branch out effectively
And
because
learn the lessons and so on.
Yeah, because with Mare, there was a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of stuff that I liked, I said, but there's also a lot of stuff that I didn't like, and just stuff that pissed me off. Like the panel layout completely goes to shit in the last volume, just because we need everything to happen. Everything has to be resolved now. So let's go. Do this now. We have to save this now. We have to revive this person. We have to do the final battle. We can't draw a complex background. Just put it in the whiteboard. We have to make sure the king gets shown because he's the reason that Snow went on this quest. We have to rescue Snow. We can't give her a personality or have her participate in the final battle at all, even though she's healing people. Maybe that could have helped.
Yeah, okay, but do you feel like, I'm going to cut you off there. Do you feel like the reason why that is because maybe as the series continued, as they were going through the this whole battle, maybe he was starting to get pressure from the higher ups to end the series because
it definitely feels rushed. That last volume,
because I think that it because knowing the way that manga works right now, it's maybe not the same as it was in 2000s, but I'm just operating under the assumption that it kind of is similar.
I mean,
is that
definitely had the
maybe
same
Mare
feel.
was losing popularity with the tournament arc.
I would imagine that it. I would imagine
because
that
it feels like how I imagined the Bleach series ended.
Oh, where everything just ended super quickly in like a few chapters.
Because it was just like
because
it had grown so unpopular that it had to end. It just had to.
There was just no other way, and it is just kind of unfortunate. It definitely did have that same rushed feel. Like, all right, we can. At this point, you could either end the series on a cliffhanger, like so many series have done in the past, or you could just resolve the entire conflict and just end it. Because, like, there was just really no other way to do it, and I'm really impressed that we've gotten an hour and a half out of this. Yeah, it was like the cast is not bad, but they're not good either. The story's not bad, it's just not anything special. The art's not bad. Panel layout is a little bit to be desired. It just feels like there was a lot of untapped potential, and that is why I was disappointed in there. But there's definitely worse things to read, I guess. If what I would say, like,
if you were to ask me if I were to recommend Mare, I'd say no.
I probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be at the top of my recommendations list. If someone has either read everything I recommend before,
I said if literally every other manga was eradicated. I'm putting it below like fucking Naruto or anything else because
really?
at least like bad manga can be read because it's bad. At least like
you can get something
Naruto
out of it. You can
or
learn,
whatever can be read because it has its good moments. This just has nothing.
And it's
like
a shame
I can't
because
honestly
it could have
imagine
had
a person.
Something.
I can't honestly imagine a person at like a con or like on Twitter or whatever going like, "Oh man, Mare was the fucking best. He was my favorite."
It
Like
was
I can't
interesting
imagine that.
because I found the Nanashi theory on this old Mare fan site. And there was a lot of apparently like forum talk about it. It had a fair share of popularity in 2000s internet time.
I can imagine that, sure, in 2000s, but like right now, I can't imagine that. I can.
Yeah, I don't. Think
I imagine that
recommend
people
this to,
would
to,
like remember it and be like, "Oh yeah, I had fun with that," but I can't imagine them being like, "Woo!"
I remember looking back
You know?
at old Mare openings for the anime, and all the comments were like very much nostalgic. Like, I would love a remake so I could relive my childhood or something like that, or I'm still listening to the song in 2019 or something of the sort. But when it comes to something like that, I feel that it could, because of how the series ended up, it always has to remain a dream, like Mare Heaven was. So,
Yeah.
you know,
All right.
not bad.
I think
not
that's a
great,
good place
but
to stop
that's pretty
talking
much all
about this
about Mare.
series no one cares about.
Yeah, I'm probably never going to revisit it unless I'm
Absolutely never.
forced to.
I have no desire to go back.
Yeah,
I would rather stare at a fucking wall.
I'm not touching this one again. But
yeah.
now that we've covered Mare, now we can read Mare Omega, the sequel.
No, anyways, that's my recommendation. Mare Omega, the sequel. It's like what, 30 chapters long?
Could you imagine? It's like 40.
I'd kill myself.
Okay.
Hey Cedric,
what do you have to recommend me, Ben?
I have to recommend you my absolute favorite book ever.
What do you got?
It is I'm not joking when I say it is legitimately my favorite book. I got Andrew to start reading it, and he hasn't finished.
What a surprise.
I am talking about the comic series by infamous writer Warren Ellis. The series is called Transmetropolitan.
All right.
We're going to the West. We're reading a Western series this time,
Woo!
you bitches. And
Can you send me a link?
It is my favorite series ever.
I need a pick me up.
Huh?
I need a pick me up after Mare.
Absolutely. Elevator pitch. It is essentially a series set in sort of a cyberpunk future, quote unquote dystopia. And it is about a journalist by the name of Spider Jerusalem who does stuff.
Oh.
He goes around and hangs around, does he writes a column, lots of social political commentary, that's always fun.
Nice.
It is maybe one of the funniest things I've ever read in my life, and is also one of the most deeply moving things I have ever read in my life.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we will be reading that.
Nice.
Talking about that. And it's 60 issues long, so it probably actually won't take that long to read.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can you send me a link?
I will.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
And, with that,
Thank
I'd
you for
say that we
joining
can
us.
probably wrap this up.
I'm impressed that we managed to go on for almost an hour and 40 minutes. Remember, at the start, I was like, oh god, are we going to be able to do 45? But I guess we just had a lot more to talk about than we thought.
Yeah.
I think this went on longer than Stone Ocean. What the fuck?
That is a little true. Yeah, we're just getting there. I mean, hey, we've got a lot of grievances.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
That's the end.
Well, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time with, what was it called?
Transmetropolitan.
Transmetropolitan. All right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye. Love you.
Okay, this is
Okay,
weird.
stop
Stop the recording.
Oh god.